Hello everyone, welcome. In this video, I'm going to share my technique on how to get only new SharePoint sites. In other words, how to retrieve only sites created recently, let's say 1 hour or day or week. Not all sites, but just a subset of sites created recently. Why this might be required, let's say, I'm seeing two scenarios. First is ad hoc reporting, and second is automation. Let's say you might need in automation way to assign some values to some site properties, or maybe to configure all newly created sites in a specific manner required by your organization. But either way, in automation, you would have scheduled job, and on this scheduled job, you would get only sites created like recently and apply all the changes needed. So how it is done? If you use GUI, SharePoint Admin Center, that's pretty much easy, right? You can go to active sites, and from here you can go to date created and sort and filter on this field. I created this custom view, so I already have sites sorted by date creation, by creation date. But we are talking automation, right? So that's not the case. In automation, we SharePoint people usually use PnP.PowerShell module or classic Microsoft PowerShell module. And what we would do is let me connect to my tenant as an administrator, and let me get SharePoint sites. It should not take long. I created 5,000 sites in my laboratory environment, so it took maybe 10 or 15 seconds. That's not bad. That's okay. Let me count. Yeah, it's 5,000 something sites. Now, let me get only one site here. And let me explore what are sites properties, what are these specific tenant site properties. Specifically, I'm interested in creation date. There is no such property, creation date. Let me prove it. The only available property for this object is last content modified date. Yes, I can get this date, but that's not what we want actually, right? So we need to limit number of sites by creation date, not last content modified date. Let me try to use the same command with detailed option, right? So I'll get new tenant site object with detailed option, and let me explore the same, and I got the same result. So no options for me to get when the site is created based on out of tenant site object. That's a pity, but let me explore further a little bit. So here I'm connecting to one specific site. So this operations was done when I was connected to tenant as a tenant admin. Yeah, but now let me connect to one specific site. And I connected to one specific site, and let me get site object. And I got site object. And if I explore this object, unfortunately, I'm not seeing created date either. So let me see what are the properties available. Not what I need, right? So exploring further, I should go to root web actually, and only from root web I can get created property. It's empty now, so to get root web property, I need to connect. I need to get site object again, but I need to specify includes parameter and to retrieve root web object also. And if I do that, I would get finally date when this site was created. Not good. So let me try to get an idea how long it might take. And for this, what I'm doing is I'm selecting just random 10 sites. And for each object, what I'm doing is I'm connecting to the site and I'm getting site object. That's it. And all this wrapped with measure command. So finally, I'll get how long it took to get 10 sites. And it took 2 seconds. So let me calculate how long it might take for this loop, get all the sites object from tenant, where are just 5,000 sites. And it will take half an hour, 1/3 of an hour, right? So it would take 20 minutes. Well, not bad, but consider you have like 10,000 or 50,000 sites, right? It would be totally inappropriate. In automation, that's again not a good solution, right? And surely it's just ugly solution. If it takes like minutes, that's just ugly. There are much better ways, much faster ways, and let me show you how it is done better. And the way I recommend to get new SharePoint sites is to use Microsoft Graph API. There are two possible options. Option 1 is based on Graph Search API, and option 2 is based on Graph SharePoint Sites API. I use PowerShell 7 here, and I registered an application with application API permissions to read all sites. This is minimum what is required to get sites. And I don't need my personal administrator role elevated. So it's only application permissions. When we are talking about automation, it's application permissions. Now, I already assigned values to tenant ID, client ID, and client secret. And based on these 3 values, I'm building body to get token from Graph API. And I get token. And I'm building headers based on token I just got. And that's all I need to call Graph API. So let me overview option 1 quickly. For option 1, I use Microsoft Graph Search API. And we can go to official Microsoft documentation on this. Let me go to API reference, and under search, I can go to query data, and from here you can get information how to use the search API and even examples for many languages. I'll use PowerShell, but not Microsoft Graph module. I'll be using plain calls to Graph API. Here are some examples and even more details on how to use Search API to search through SharePoint content. But here's the code ready for use for you. Actually, what I'm doing here is as a query string, I'm using plain old well-known KQL based on content created date. And the trick is I will use entity types array and I'll specify only sites here, because search Graph API you can use to search through any kind of entities in Microsoft 365. Chat messages, emails, SharePoint content, whatever, right? But here I'm interested only in sites. So I'm specifying entity types sites here. I need only first 20 results, for example, and I'm forming a body here and calling Graph API. So let me run this part, and it ran successfully. So let me see how many results are here. I got 5 results, so it's 5 sites created after December 9. And let me get the sites, and surely I got 5 sites created after December 9. If I specify here another date, I'll get probably more sites. Yep, I got 20 sites, and if there are more, I would need to organize a loop to get all the results, but you got the idea. So that's option number 1. Option number 2 is based on sites API entry point. To get some details on sites API entry point, we would go to Graph API reference, and then we would go to sites, and under sites we would go to list sites, and from here you can see some details on this API entry point. Permissions needed to get sites, and we can filter sites based on some criteria. And it says that we can use search query, and if we go to search, we can see that the only property that works for sorting is created date time. And that's actually exactly what we need, right? So let me return to code. And from here, I will use search for everything. Since it's sites API, only sites will be returned. And let me order by creation date time descending. So I'll get only sites created later. So let me run this query, and it worked fine. Let me count. I got 200 results returned. That's, I believe, default behavior. I don't know, can we change it? But in any way, you should get 200 latest sites created in tenant, right? If I need more, I should organize some kind of paging here, probably. I don't know. Or maybe I can schedule my job more frequent. But you got the idea. And out of results, let me just select a few properties and let me sort based on site criteria. So let me run this, and yes, I got 200 latest sites sorted, and here my 5 site is created after December 9. Okay, good. Let me, yeah, it's worth to know that both methods are based on search, right? So if you created a site a few minutes ago, site probably will not be reflected here. So think about it when you do your automation. But let me share some more fun for you. Again, if we go to this user, and let me actually create one more site here. Alrighty, site is created. And yeah, let me check with GUI first. Yes, I got my just created site here. And let me go to my code and let me run the same query. So you can see that new site is not reflected here so far. I can try option 1. Yeah, only 5 sites, so new site is not reflected here. If I use just sites entry point with no search option, I'll get 200 sites. And if I sort these 200 sites, you can see that actually it's the same site. So I don't know if this default behavior or would it always work the same way. I did not explore documentation on this API, so I don't know would it always work like this, but maybe we can use just this entry point URL to get new sites. So if you know, please share in comments, or maybe we can use this API URL. Well, documentation says that this way we can get all sites from multi-geo tenants. So if you have multi-geo enabled, so this way we can get sites from other geographies. So what else? How to authenticate to Graph API? I have a separate video on this. I'll put link in the description. And with respect to query, you can see that that's just the same query we can use in GUI. So if you go to just Microsoft 365 and put query here, you can get content, and if you select sites, you can get sites. Well, there are just 2 sites only because this user can see only his own sites, because I'm currently authenticated as a user here. From code, I authenticated as application, so I'm seeing all sites here. So that's the difference. That's it for now. Enjoy. See you later. Bye.